So we've got a tensioner noise. Hear that squeaking? So let's replace the tensioner pulley on my 2003 Chevy Suburban. So yesterday, took the belt off and spun the tensioner pulley and the idler pulley to see which one. I figured one of them was making noise. The idler pulley was fine. The tensioner pulley was making the noise. It sounded bad. I'll show you the difference between them once we get the belt off. But yeah, pull the belt off, then put it back on, ordered parts. So we got a Dorman 419603. It says it's an idler pulley, but this is the pulley for the tensioner. One way you can tell those apart is the tensioner pulley has grooves for the belt, and the idler pulley runs on the back side of the belt, and so it's flat. Easy way to tell them apart. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to pull the intake tube off. So we're just going to undo this clamp here, and then we're going to pull this radiator hose bracket out, just like that. Undo these clamps. We're going to get this thing out of the way to give ourselves a little more room to work. Then we're going to pull the belt off, and we'll be able to undo this bolt right there and get this pulley swapped out. Pretty quick and simple job. All right, now that we've got that out of the way, we can take our belt off. And I've got this nice little set from GearWrench. Works really well. Thought it was a 15, but yeah, it is 15 millimeter. This is the set I've got. Comes with a bunch of different, I don't know if you can see what I'm doing or not. Yeah, you can kind of see. It's got a bunch of different sockets that fit in this gear wrench, specialized gear wrench ratchet, and you can index it and you flip it to ratchet it, but you can kind of get it down and around in tough spots. Gotta flip it over. Like I said, ratchets. Let's get it about. Good. I like to slip the belt off the alternator. It's kind of the easiest spot to do it. And then we're just gonna slip it off. Back off. All right, so let's get our belt out of the way. I'll get y'all closer. All right, so if we spin this one, silence. You can barely hear it. And we can spin this one. Definitely does not sound good. So, also a good time to check out your belt. Always like to curve it like it's curved now. And you can see, you're gonna look for cracks. You got one little spot right there, but looks pretty good to me. This is a Bando belt, and Bando is the OEM supplier for a lot of manufacturers. These are really good belts, and you normally find them on Amazon and get them for probably about half the price as you know, like a Gates or Daco or something like that. And to me, I really think they're probably exceeding Gates quality at this point. Gates, unfortunately, is starting to, you know, not be USA now. So maybe the quality's still there, I don't know, but I've had really good luck at these Bando belts. In fact, this one has been on this Suburban since I bought it, replaced the belt, and that's going on 100,000 miles and 8 years or so, and no cracking or anything in it. And the Gates belt that I put on my wife's Sienna lasted maybe 4 years before I started noticing some cracking in it and replaced it. So yeah, anyway, so here's our tensioner. Now you could replace the whole tensioner, but to be honest, if the tensioner's fine, I don't really care to spend that extra money, because, you know, a lot of the aftermarket parts just aren't as good as OEM. This is still a good OEM tensioner, and yeah, I don't really want to spend the money on a new OEM one, so we're just going to replace the pulley. This is, if you decide to replace the old tensioner, this is a 3-bolt design. This is just extra info here. You got 3 bolts that hold it. A lot of the new replacements are a 2-bolt pulley. From what I understand, the trucks got 3-bolt, the cars got 2-bolt, and the 2-bolt now supersedes the 3-bolt. So trucks and cars now get the 2-bolt. So if you order one, it'll probably be a 2-bolt, but it's fine, no issues with that. Anyway, so now we've got our bolt to undo. So it's 15 millimeter, and we're just going to loosen this bolt, and we can take this pulley off, and I'll show you all that. All right, so 15 millimeter. I'm trying to decide how I want to get on it, so I'm not blocking y'all's view too much. Do it left-handed, so y'all get a better view. Like I said, this is a quick and simple job, and yeah, inspect your belt when you do it. You might as well replace the belt if it needs it while you're here. All right, so here we are. I like to put a little blue Loctite on these bolts, so we'll do that. So, like I said, here's our new Dorman. And this thing is centered, so you don't have to worry about which way to put it. But I'm going to put it with this part number facing out, just so we know. This one is made in China. The bearing feels good on it. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Loctite's not necessary. It just makes me feel better, I guess. So I guess before we do that, let's just make sure. Yep. And fits on the hub. A little dab of the blue. Yeah, it's more than a dab, but it's not the red, it'll come off when we need it to. And just make sure you center that washer up, because the hole in the washer is larger than the center of the bolt, but it'll center itself in that bearing once it starts tightening up, as long as you don't have it completely off. Now it's going to want to tighten, or it's going to want to tension, rock the tension over. So I like to just hold it while I tighten this down. You can also just let it go over. It's only going to go so far. Do it from this side. it'll only turn so far. So as long as you get your wrench in a spot that it has a lot of motion, it'll tension over and stop. All right, so now I'm gonna set y'all back so you can see the whole thing. We'll route the belt. If you're curious in the belt routing, I'll show that to y'all once we get it back on. All right, so over here, we're just gonna, I like to go ahead and just slip it over. We've got it around everything. Check to make sure it's not partially on something. And then we'll tension it over. Let's put it way down here, maybe. That's just gonna work now. Got in a weird position to get around this radiator hose. Perfect. And we're gonna slip it down and under the idler. Check all of our pulleys. Everything looks good. And we'll slip it off. See, that's kind of the cool thing about this thing. You can put it in all kind of weird angles, and that worked perfect to get around that hose. We could have done it with the straight one as well. Probably could have even done it with our ratchet. This is not a super strong tensioner. All right, so let's go over to the belt routing. So belt routing, it's going to go around the crank pulley, up around, if we come up from this way, up around this tensioner, under the idler, over the alternator, around the power steering pump, up around the water pump, and back around the crank pulley. And if you want to know your AC compressor, it just goes around the crank pulley. You got to put that belt on first if you take it off. Around the crank pulley, up around the tensioner, and back around the AC compressor. The tensioner for the AC is right there. You can barely see it, and that's the back side of the belt it rides on. So all I got to do is put the air intake tube on, and we'll be done. We're done. So I'll put a link in the description to that idler pulley, and I will put a link in the description, if I can find it, for the Bando belt. At least for this car, you're going to want to check and make sure all of these parts fit yours. I say car, truck, Suburban, whatever. Just verify, make sure it's right part numbers for your vehicle. If you buy them on Amazon, you put your vehicle in, when you click on the part, it'll tell you whether that part will fit your vehicle. If it doesn't, it'll let you can click and it'll say, you know, it says like, this part does not fit this vehicle. And you can hit a button, I think below, that says, see similar parts fit this vehicle, and it'll sort and give you the ones that fit your car. And I'll put a link in the description to the GearWrench belt tensioner tool. I've got a cheap Harbor Freight one that I've used for years. I finally broke it, welded it back together, but it doesn't work real well for weird angles, and I've had some vehicles that are just difficult. So I picked this thing up, works out really well, and it's nice because you can just grab this set and it's got everything you need with it. You know, I don't have to grab sockets to go with it or anything like that. And just in case it doesn't have the sockets you need for your application, it does come with adapters, so you can put different ones on it. I guess this is actually, yeah, so it even comes with this big 3/4. Or if you've got a tensioner that has a hex, or a square drive or square connection. Anyway, yep. So Thanks for watching. Leave a comment down below, hit the like button, and subscribe for more.